Okay. For this lecture, we're going to look at cultural diversity in entrepreneurship. In particular, we are going to zone in on the various differences that create opportunities for entrepreneurs. We have gender and entrepreneurship, youth and entrepreneurship, ethnicity and entrepreneurship, family and entrepreneurship, religion and entrepreneurship, right? And so we know that entrepreneurs are opportunity seekers. We also know and understand that when there are differences through diversity, it creates space for opportunities. And so it is within this context that we are going to see how these diversities in culture creates opportunities for entrepreneurs. Now, what is cultural diversity? Cultural diversity looks at a multitude of subcultures or societies, right? It consists of elements such as religion, language, age, gender, even sexual orientation, ethnicity, social status, right? And those differences across cultures and societies would have lent itself for opportunities for entrepreneurs. Somebody just respond so I know that you're hearing me, because I don't think anybody said anything to me. All right, great, thank you. Right, so when you hear cultural diversity, don't freak out, just understand that it speaks to the differences across society and culture. We know that some of the things that Jamaicans enjoy doing and some of the food that we like eating, it is not familiar to other countries across the world, right? A lot of people, well, our jerk chicken is popular, you know, but a lot of people probably are not comfortable eating the curry goat, you know, but this unique diet, right, can provide itself opportunity for entrepreneurs. For example, when persons migrate from Jamaica and they live in other countries like this USA and Canada or even Japan, you know, you'll find that you have a niche market there. And of course, you like Jamaican food, so you are going to search for places that provide Jamaican food. So as an entrepreneur, if you're able to prepare the cuisine, then you, based on that diversity in culture there, you have now found an opportunity for you to open a restaurant, you know, providing these kinds of cuisine, Jamaican cuisine, to perhaps Jamaicans living in these territories, as well as those who might want to experience Jamaican food as well. So that's an example of how cultural diversity provides opportunities for entrepreneurs. All right, so cultural diversity provides a rich mixture to the area of entrepreneurship. There's no one type of person that defines an entrepreneur, right? And so too, because we have different types of entrepreneurs, they too will be able to connect with different markets in that regard, and it provides for persons, you know, once upon a time, persons think that only males are entrepreneurs, but you find out you have women becoming entrepreneurs. You know, we spoke about when we were looking at myths of entrepreneurship. There was this myth that entrepreneurship is a young people thing, but we know that it is not the case. All right, so in the Caribbean, entrepreneurs differ as it relates to age, as it relates to religion, ethnicity, and gender. So those are some differences that you find in entrepreneurs, and we're going to explore it in a minute. Right now, there's a case here. As the custom is, we normally share and discuss the case and we answer some questions, right? So even in your live classes, you get an opportunity to just have a feel of the type of questions that you will get for your exam section 2, which is heavily case-based, and then you answer questions like that, right? So I provide opportunities right throughout the classes for you to kind of get accustomed to it, so you know how to manage yourself. All right, so this is the case. Now there's this man by the name of John Harold Johnson, right? And he is the founder of Johnson Publishing Company. And Johnson Publishing Company is considered to be the first African-American publishing company that was listed as a company to look at on the Forbes 400 list, right? So you know that that company has to be doing very well to be on Forbes 400. Anyhow, let's continue. He created a Black American magazine during a time when there was no national Black consumer magazine. So John Harold was able to create a Black magazine, right? A magazine that predominantly focused on Black people, emphasizes Black culture, and clearly would appeal to Black people, right? And so when there wasn't any other magazine like that, John thought it wise and found the opportunity to create such a magazine. So my question now, and I'm asking my brilliant budding entrepreneurs to tell me what you think. Now, how did cultural diversity impact on his publishing business? Now, I want you to tell me in your context, based on the case, what you think was the cultural diversity in this context. What was that difference that created that opportunity for him? All right, like it's just 2 hours and maybe I have to just open the mic and call on persons to share. So let me open the participants list. So Amoy and then Shania, just go on and tell me what you think. You can't get it wrong, it is just a discussion. So just tell me what you think.
Yes, I would say culture.
Not hearing you clearly, Amoy. Just tell me what you think he capitalized on. What was he able to do?
Because I mean, culture means.
Right, he was able to create what kind of, was it just any magazine?
It's a Black magazine.
A Black magazine. And that would suggest that when he created that Black magazine, what kind of magazines were there? Shania, what kind of magazines you think were being published a lot? White people magazine. Just like now, we can relate to it, you know. Gone were the days when you take up a magazine to look at beautiful women, all you could see was white women with straight hair, or even Black women in weaves, right? But now, because of diversity, you're seeing a lot of Black women wearing their natural hair proudly, even in magazines. So there is now a redefinition of beauty, and the standard of beauty is not the European standard that we're accustomed to, but we have redefined beauty to be us, Black beauty, right? And so Mr. John recognized that these magazines, these other magazines, they weren't catering to the needs of Black people. When they open the magazines, they're not seeing anything that they can relate to culturally or otherwise. I'm supposing that even, you know, when you buy the magazines, you see things about beauty, makeup products that you probably would want to try, and things about fashion, but everything is pertaining to white people. So Mr. John was clever enough to capitalize on the diversity as it relates to race, right? And he used that as an opportunity to make some money. All right, I accidentally muted my mic. This is the nice version of what we just discussed, right? So this is like a nice little summary. The difference, or the different group of people having different needs and consumption habits based on cultural practices. He was able to meet the needs of a market, and that specific market is the African American market that was not being satisfied adequately in the publishing industry. He did this by creating a national Black consumer magazine, right? Okay, so you should now have an appreciation for cultural diversity based on that case and based on our discussion so far. Now we're going to explore how cultural diversity have resulted in an evolution of entrepreneurship. What are different types of entrepreneurs you can find? All of this is largely attributed to the differences across countries, even within a country. So we're going to look at the first thing, which is gender and entrepreneurship. So when you're discussing cultural diversity, you talk about gender and entrepreneurship, right? And I must say that for a long time, for a very long time, and even though Jamaica is a little different because we have had the privilege of enjoying, should I say enjoy? We have had the privilege of experiencing powerful women in leadership roles, right? But it should not be lost on anybody that in some societies, women cannot occupy a leadership role. And even though we have women in leadership positions like CEOs and business owners, the reality remains that in the corporate world, in the business world, leadership is largely dominated by the males, mostly man you find as CEO and head of organizations. Want to agree with me, yes or no?
Yes.
Right. So Scarborough in his book stated that despite changes in laws, you know, allowing women to go out the house and work, you have other laws that protect women in the workplace from discrimination. It still remains that some of these businesses are largely dominated by males. But I want you to understand that it is evolving and women are occupying more and more leadership role as time progresses, right? And what you find is that a lot of these women, they start businesses in hopes of improving their economic conditions for themselves and their families. You know, in Jamaica, we have a lot of female-headed households. We don't have the men staying in the home and being the providers. And so women are forced to forge their way out and make sure that their family is okay. Some women, they just go and start a little business. We have a lot of women who, you know, they do a lot of different stuff, but they try to earn an income for their family. I think that is primarily their primary motivation, right? And in doing so, what they're doing is what we call shattering the glass ceiling, that standard that was set that only men should occupy certain leadership roles, etc. That is being demolished, that is being obliterated. Like, there's nothing that a man can do that a woman cannot do. I don't know if you are recognizing, gone were the days on the men you'll see driving buses, you know, on the men you'll see on construction site. I think Miss Kitty posted a female weed walker, It's the first one I've ever seen. Any of you know anybody like that? All time the man, they may always see walking around with the weed worker looking work. You ever see a woman doing that? I talk to me, not talk to me, no man.
Repeat the question, please.
I was saying, I don't know if anybody follow Fluffy Diva, Miss Kitty.
Mhm.
All right, so she posted a lady in Jamaica the other day, and her job was
Bicycle.
yes, the bicycle and the weed walk,
Yes.
right? And I'm saying it's the first female weed walker I've seen. But what we're recognizing is that the roles that have been traditionally held by men, you know, women are now assuming those roles. So yeah, we're redefining who we are and what we are capable of, which is good, right? But what I want to share with you about gender and entrepreneurship is that over the past 30 years, there has been an increase in the importance and size of small business sector. And that is an indication that, you know, we have a lot more persons becoming entrepreneurial, starting businesses. Because if the small business sector is increasing, that means more people starting businesses, right? Also, a large number of women have joined the labor force. So una probably don't come from this era where the role of a woman was in the home, right? And so they are supposed to wash, cook, clean, take care of the children, but they're not to work. You know them era, they don't watch them movie there and I can relate to it in any way, shape, or form because they still have. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. You still have some cases like that, right? But that is changing as well because they have a lot more women going into the workforce. But I'm going to add, it's not that they want to work, they probably don't have a choice. And then we have entrepreneurship, which was once male dominated. They are not dominating it as much anymore, right? So let's look at a few female entrepreneurs, right? Despite legislations, as it relates to discrimination in the workplace, women have managed to do what they need to do, pave the way, reach and occupy roles that were once only males occupied. So I'm just going to look at a few females, noted female entrepreneurs who have made it big and should be celebrated. We have a lot in Jamaica, but I kind of pull on Jamaica and some US. So we have Melinda Gates, and she was, she's one that I pull because since COVID, everybody talking about Bill Gates and his wife, right? And all sorts of conspiracy around them and everything. So I just think that my students will be able to connect with her a lot more. She is, as I said, the wife of Bill Gates, the Microsoft man. Everybody know Bill Gates, right? Right. He's the reason why you're sitting around a computer. All right. So Melinda has pushed for she has been known to give generously to a lot of foundations and everything. She is a successful entrepreneur in her own right. And she has inspired big donors and global collaborators. Now, you know this lady on the screen too? Everybody knows she. Right? You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. I wish I was there on that day. Oprah, right? Now, Oprah Winfrey, well known. She owns a network that is called OWN. She is a successful leader. She started a school for girls in South Africa. And she, her network is a lot, right? This data is kind of outdated now, but in 2013, which is a long time ago, she was valued at $77 million. So I don't need to go any further. Beyonce, all my single ladies, right? So beyond being a successful artist, She also has her own fashion label house and perhaps some other things, right? So she's a successful entrepreneur. And then we'll come back home now. This is Audrey P. Marks. I call her the paymaster lady, right? So when you go to pay a bill or any of those things, just know that is Audrey. Is the one that has created that space for you to have that opportunity, right? She has created 150 paymaster agencies across Jamaica and the USA, right? Which provide convenient service to a whole heap of people. And she's making a whole heap of money as a result of it, all right? Now we're going to look at youth and entrepreneurship. So young people are, it sounds like a scratch record because we spoke about it last class. The fact that a lot more young people are moving towards becoming entrepreneurs because they recognize that if they just choose to go and get a job, they are not going to amass the amount of wealth that they want to create to live the life that they really want to live. Them don't have the patience like old people who work for like 40 years, so them can take one trip, you know. Young people want to travel the world and enjoy life, right? So they say they want to live them life. And so they have recognized that entrepreneurship provides that vehicle for them to have financial freedom. And so data has shown that a lot more young people are going towards entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, at the age of 8, starting at 8, you know, a lot of persons, this data is linked to the US, however, they have already started a business and will do so in the future. Age 8, can you believe it? Right, so some noted entrepreneurs. So I put this one up because everybody knows Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook man, you know, he started his business pretty young, and his business is probably one of the most successful ones of all time, I would presume, right? Everybody using Facebook. This one is local. His name is Garda Swaby. He started his internet business at the age of 24. And for those of you fresh out of high school, when we just had the pandemic, you would have been encouraged or seen it on TV, Edufocal being the tool to engage students when they weren't able to go to face-to-face classes. He's also a gamer, and he has a successful gaming website. And this man here, his name is Mr. Robinson. He's a founder and managing partner of Northbrook Caribbean Investment Company. And it's a holding company that acquires and operates privately owned businesses in emerging and niche markets, right? So he is a, what would you describe him as, a serial or portfolio entrepreneur? Who want to guess which one? Would he be a serial or portfolio entrepreneur?
Serial. Serial.
Serial, very good, very good, very good. Very good, right? Because it says acquires and operates the business, right? No, man, his portfolio, sorry. He has them because it says he acquires and operates them privately. So I'm going to take different businesses and get involved in them. So it's portfolio. Serial is when you buy, sell, buy, sell. Portfolio is when you stay, you have ownership in a whole heap of businesses all at once, right? Okay. All right. So ethnicity and entrepreneurship. Ethnicity and entrepreneurship. When we talk about ethnicity, we normally talk about minority persons. So when we call when we talk about minority people, the population that is less dominant in the world. So like Hispanics, African Americans, Asians, they are considered minority groups, right? However, they are not excluded from becoming entrepreneurs. You know, in the US, 8.5% of businesses are owned by Hispanics. African Americans, they have 7% of all businesses in the US, and the Asians, 5.9%. So the bulk is Caucasian white people, and that is why the others are considered minority, right? So we need to step up the game as Black people. These entrepreneurs still, even though they are not in the majority, they are making an impact as they contribute $1.03 trillion in revenue, and they generate 5.9 million employment opportunities for persons, right? So they're still making a difference. Now, family and entrepreneurship. Family-owned businesses are those businesses that are definitely within the family. That's why we call them family-owned businesses, right? Now, Scarborough again defines a family-owned business as one that includes 2 or more members of a family that they have financial control of the business. So it's not just being a part of the business, you must have some form of ownership in the business, 2 or more of the same family member for it to be considered a family-owned business. Now, although majority of the businesses in the US are owned by family members, oftentimes they are at threat within because of the, you know, family, when them say business and family no mix, the whole issue of management succession, right? So a father can have a business and he has his like 2 sons, and they're going to fight over who takes over the business when the father dies, right? And sometimes that internal rivalry results in the business mashup, right? As I said, in Jamaica, we have this saying that family and business don't mix. And because of that, sometimes we perpetuate poverty. We continue the cycle of poverty in our families because we don't want to help our families to achieve their wealth. And then you have the other side where sometimes the family members were on the free zone, you hear? So we're going to have to click back in. Sometimes when you employ your family, they come and mash up your business, right? Them thief from you, them don't operate a business well because, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, but that is an issue, right? So you have to think about that when you are having a family-owned business. You have to have some very important things in writing. Only 30% of family-owned businesses survive the 2nd generation. That is something to think about. Since these businesses are often riddled with bitter family feuds, people quarreling over legacy, people fighting down each other, conflicts within the family can ruin the business. However, this can be avoided if these practices are adopted by businesses, right? So if they carefully outline and have a succession plan, who gets what, who occupies which role, in the event that the existing family move on or die or whatever the case may be. Now, in Jamaica, an example of family-owned businesses, you can think about the Assans, the Issas, all those people, right? Everything, the Matalans, the Hiltons, you know. Most of those businesses are generational family-owned businesses. Now, this is a way to ensure that your family business don't mash up. The first thing is to respect all members of the family, right? Don't label any one member as outcast or, you know, slacking off and not carrying them weight. Treat everybody with respect. Build positive relationships. If you don't have a conflict, work it out. Separate responsibilities based on persons' interests, abilities, and talents. If you know somebody is good with the money part of the business, put them over there. Somebody is good with coming up with ideas and all those things, put them over production side or research and development. Identify the talents and interests of your family members and gear those talents and interests in the section of the company that it is most suited, right? Develop plans for succession before retirement. Develop a plan before you leave. Don't leave it to everybody else to figure out what to do next. It's the same kind of idea when somebody dead and don't have no will. Family mash up, don't it? Everybody fight over the dead left land. Not true. Boy, my class boring today. Why not talk to me? All right, so in the US, the companies contribute 62% of total employment and generate 64% of the nation's GDP. 33% of the Fortune 500 companies are usually family owned. All right, so we're going to look at religion and entrepreneurship. All right, so in the Caribbean, religion is not seen as an obstacle in entrepreneurship, but as an enhancer, right? But in other places in the world, where they are restricted in terms of who they can worship and how they can worship, it will present itself as an obstacle, right? Now, the fundamental principles and values of the dominant religion in the region encourages persons to amass wealth. You know, they promote the idea that, you know, God wants you to prosper and be in good health. And so you're encouraged to become entrepreneurs, right? There are denominations in some religions that dissuade or discourages persons from engaging in entrepreneurship or the pursuit of profits because they deem it as worthy living. So like the monks and those people, the nuns, you notice that they if you know anything about them, they try to live as free of materialistic things as possible. They live a life of service to others. So it's not about driving the flashiest car and living in the best house and all of these things. It's about giving and serving others. And Mahatma Gandhi would be one of them that promoted this ideology. Mother Teresa also probably would be one of them that, you know, she sell everything and them just live one day at a time, live exactly how with the things that they need daily. All right, so without the bad, I've completed cultural diversity. I am going to, let me ask a question because I checked the site and I realized it's only, somebody here started the quiz last week and they didn't complete it. I think they know themselves. I'm wondering why it wasn't completed. I think they're online now too. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I started and then I look back on the topic and it come off. It cut off.
Yeah, you could go back in there.
We just leave it and make it reload, you know, and then
You have to go back in there and try. Maybe you had some connectivity issues because like if your internet go in and out, it will affect your ability to use the material.
More than one person was on the internet.
Oh, okay. You need to go and do it, you know. Although just spend the time to find work given, and the work is to ensure that you understand the content or prepare you for your exam. Okay? Yes, Amoy?
The quiz means Me said, oh, you never put the answers on the system.
You get the feedback. You got the feedback. You don't get your grade when you finish it. Right, so you would have gotten the feedback. It should show you where it went wrong. That's how it is designed. You're talking about the written part?
It's the quiz.
Huh?
It's the quiz I am talking about.
Which part? The MCQ part or the other part? Which part are you talking about?
The multiple choice.
Right, you would have gotten the feedback same time. Didn't you get it? Because when I checked the system, the grades were there and it should have been released to you. Grades are there, man. Go back, go check.
Is it in classwork part A?
It, part A and part B. I don't remember which one is A and B, but I think the quiz part is A and then the case study part would be B, right?
Yes, Miss, I get bad grade.
Right. So the other part now I need to go in and put in those grades. I haven't done so yet. All right. All right. So for the rest of the class, having marked the register, I'm going to put up a tutorial sheet. I'm going to ask you to do it. It will be on cultural diversity. We have less than a minute. I don't know what you have to come back in. So just check Moodle here.
Okay.
We're in the live component. I'm going to put up the tutorial sheet and the lesson notes from today and put the instructions and everything up there. And you just do that for the rest of the class. All right?